Ever since I was 9 years old, I've been in love with hip hop. The heavy bass lines, the dope beats, they've reverberated through the core of me. I've written stories chronicling my experience as a woman in the hip hop nation, and I've written really bad poems about hip hop. But nothing has pushed me to revisit my thoughts about that fateful day in 1989 when I first heard the sounds of Emcee Light crooning through my friend's brother's boombox than my research in this space. No genre since has moved me in such a magnetic way. This, for me, is what scholarship is all about, pulling at the meat of what moves you to make your own contribution. The feminist lyricism of early female hip hop artists conveyed a message of empowerment and an awareness of one's own femininity. Artists like Salt-N-Pepa, Emcee Light, Monie Love, and Queen Latifah reigned as the queens of hip hop in the late 80s and early 90s. But it was during the late 90s that this feminist message within hip hop music began to change. A new kind of feminism was developing within the music and culture, with lyrics focused on sexual liberation, control, and sexual domination. And while the style in which these viewpoints were presented may be a little bit different, there is no distinct difference between the feminist philosophy of, say, a socially conscious artist like Queen Latifah or a more sexually liberated artist like Lil' Kim. Both encourage women to liberate themselves and to resist sexist oppression through the genre of hip hop. Now, keep in mind that feminism is difficult to define. Depending on one's socioeconomic status, cultural experience, age, demographic, political affiliation, feminism and how an individual defines it can be vastly different. This, of course, has been a point of contention among Black feminists, as many women of color have largely been ignored by the white feminist agenda. So let's take a look at the two phases in which we see the evolution of the feminist MC. This phase I like to call phase one, okay? A lady's first approach to hip hop. In the late 80s and early 90s, female hip hop artists were known for their vicious flow, citing lyrics that promoted female empowerment, respect, and embracing the original nature of a Black woman as royalty. Groups like Public Enemy and artists like KRS-One helped to usher in a social consciousness in hip hop music. But it was Queen Latifah that took this African-centered consciousness to another level by promoting and demanding that women be treated equally. In her video for the 1989 song Ladies First off her album All Hail the Queen, Latifah blends a mixture of feminine strength with a warrior-like power and dominance. It is truly a song to celebrate women. She broke the rules of traditional Afrocentricity in this video. And just to be a little bit clear, Afrocentricity is basically pride in African heritage. This term was coined by Dr. Asante in the 1980s. In this video, Ladies First, Latifah presents an entirely new concept to her audience. She seamlessly links her Afrocentricity with her feminism, thus creating a movement where the two ideologies can coexist. Scholar Robin Roberts, in her article Ladies First, Queen Latifah's Afrocentric feminist music video, states that being a feminist does not mean abandoning her African heritage. Instead, it becomes an additional source of strength and power. While Latifah has never referred to herself as a feminist, her music is so rich and full of third wave feminist ideology and theory. So now let's move on to phase two. I like to call this phase the Queen Bee, money, power, and sex. During the late 1990s and into the early 2000s, a second change in the feminist ideology of the female MC occurred. Artists began to shed their baggy, oversized clothing that dominated hip-hop culture for most of the early 90s for a more feminine look. With the style change also came a lyrical change. Gone were the days of the socially conscious feminist rap lyrics of the 1980s. They were replaced by bolder themes of sexual freedom and liberation. And within it, a brand new feminism began to resurface. Leading the charge in this feminist hip-hop revolution was my girl, Lil' Kim. She created what Greg Thomas in his book, Hip Hop Revolution in the Flesh, Power, Knowledge, and Pleasure in Lil' Kim's Lyricism calls a revolution within a revolution. But not everyone was pleased with the shift. Popular music critics complained that hip hop was becoming a genre driven by sex, profits, straying away from its origins of being a genre of socially conscious music. But these critics had nothing to say about male artists who did the same thing. Lil' Kim's music has a sense of political awareness around her sexuality that even today, Black feminists have a difficult time understanding. She also recognizes that sex is more than just about desire and pleasure. It's about power. Like Latifah, Kim refused to be defined by traditional gender roles. Society has made women feel uncomfortable with their own bodies, but Kim made those in the hip hop community, specifically Black women, feel liberated enough to love themselves, their bodies, and to not hide or be ashamed of their sexual desires. There are several female hip hop artists that embody this idea of the feminist MC. They are the women that I grew up listening to and admiring. They are the women who raised me, who taught me what it meant to be. This is truly what hip hop meant to a shy kid from North Philadelphia who loves reading, writing, and reciting poetry, but found very few outlets to express myself in those spaces. Here, with the queens of the hip hop nation, I found a home, my space, my voice, and my freedom. The female MCs raised my generation, Generation X, all while flowing on a funky fresh beat. So I am no lyricist, but I would like to share this with you all in closing. I heard her voice before I ever saw the beauty of her face, and yet it was her voice that was so undeniably unpleasant, opening my blind eyes to the fearlessness of this world. She moved me in that unmovable way, encapsulating, macerating my being, all of me, even the stuff that stinks. She cut me open, inserted herself inside of me despite the tenderness of my mind, casually entered me and shot hot lava into my sacred place. I was not yet experienced enough to take it all, to ride the rhythm of her voice or her love, singing sweetly like a bullet shot through the dome. Her songbird melodies could make war like molasses dripping sugarcane burning love, the kind of love that tears out your sweet spot. I still languish in the splendor of what remains because despite the new sound that touches me now, my first love will always be hip hop. Thank you.